Hello, everyone. Today, I am joined by Louis Elton, who studied with me a few years ago in this faculty. And I remember he wrote his third year dissertation on some aspect of peace and violence in Sri Lanka. Now, Louis, let me start by asking you the first question. When people hear the phrase Faculty of Divinity, they may feel a bit puzzled by that word divinity. So what does that word mean, divinity?
I mean, it means many things. We could go into sort of the etymology of it, but I think more functionally, divinity is more or less about the study of things that are bigger than us, things that sort of transcend the mundane day-to-day life, and sort of create some sense of order in the universe, whether that's like, just a psychological understanding of reality, or some sort of ethical framework or dimensionality to what we do. But it's a sort of imagining what is like beyond just me walking around in my day-to-day life, sort of worrying about, do I have milk in the fridge? Although I do recall in a supervision, actually not with you, with one of my other favorite professors, Andrew Davison, talking about divinity is also cleaning the drains in the church and everybody coming together to clean the drains. It's like, okay, it's not always just ethereal in nature, but I think divinity is purely just the sort of conquest to understand what's really going on. What should we do?
So having this conversation is also a part of divinity then.
Yeah. I mean, in many ways, I mean, it depends who you are, but a lot of people ask me about, like, what are my theological, divine views on the world, and how theology and divinity plays a role in my life. But I think, some people take would have definitions like, oh, I go to church every day, or I go to synagogue or a mosque, or I read the scriptures. But for me, it's actually the kind of intellectual inquiry into all of these big questions that for me is like the most thrilling element of divinity, not necessarily like having an answer or pursuing some sort of ritual or being part of some community. For me, it's like just the kind of thinking.
Yes. So what you're saying is something like there are these big questions out there, and you feel that these big questions are telling you, Louis, come and try to answer me, come and try to answer me, and you're responding to that call.
Well, this come and try to answer me has a sort of definitive element to it. I don't think there is a definitive answer. I think it's come and try to think about me, and give some answers and maybe make some sort of impact on the way you think about things or do things. But it's a sort of it's a process, not a product.
Yes.
And that ongoing critical discussion, whether that's with other people or just in your own mind, or with thinkers on the page, that is that's the good stuff. That's what matters to me anyway.
Yes, great. That's what I want to know, what you think. Okay. Now comes my second question. Can this study of religion make a concrete difference to the world? Or is it just in the mind, what you're thinking?
Yes. I mean, the course that we took at university was very, very broad. And so people could do all sorts of different things. But the route that I took was I was really, really interested in the metaphysics of everyday life, sometimes in the context of like a war. So we did lots of work on that together. But also just on the sort of day-to-day sense of how do I, live my life, and how do I be a better person, and how should I commune with society. And in my world, in my current job, in my career, I work for a sort of anthropologically rooted strategy and advisory company that uses anthropological methods, but also draws on theology, philosophy, all sorts of different academic methods and sort of theoretical approaches to look at real world problems, whether that's for big companies, governments, charities, NGOs, etc. And we get really big questions. And these clients come to us and they ask a really, really big question, which is like, oh, what is the future of diplomacy? Or what is the future of dairy? Or what is the future of Judaism? Or how do we design interfaith projects in the Middle East or East Asia that draw upon the latest cutting edge research and
Yes.
theory on how to solve these problems? And I can give you a couple of examples. There was a project I did on the future of Judaism
Okay.
for uh, a synagogue,
Right.
and we over 12 weeks looked at all of the sociology and anthropology of Jewish life in liberal urban centers, which was kind of analog we were working with in America,
Yeah.
and drew upon all the literature on like post-secular society and the function of religious institutions, and then also actually borrowed from the literature on like network theory and theological and religious institutions, and so all brought it all together and put together a approach on how do religious institutions thrive in the 21st century, and then made a set of recommendations to this particular synagogue, and that was it's always the nature of like advice. You never know how much of it's taken up, but theoretically, I would hope that it made a concrete difference, and I see
Right.
little bits of evidence every
Yes.
now and then. Another example would be I did a project for a healthcare company that was looking at wearable technologies, which after I left Cambridge, I went to Oxford. I went to the Oxford Internet Institute, and I did my thesis on transcendence and digital self-tracking technologies, and how people imagine these technologies, taking them to the next level. So imagine like a Fitbit, Apple Watch, how it's kind of in some sense got similar relationships like a Cara band
Yeah.
or a crucifix. They're both wearables, and looked at the sort of theological and technological kinship of these wearables through history. And then this informed recommendations on how do you design wearable technologies that stick and people don't abandon, because that's the big problem in these self-tracking technologies. People put them in a drawer after a few weeks, but
Yes.
people wear Cara bands and crucifixes for their entire life, and so there's something you can learn from that. And so if maybe move the needle a little bit on how you design one of these tools for healthcare or positive well-being, then that would be an example of divinity and study of theology having a concrete impact on the
Indeed.
world.
Great. Okay. Now, since you're in a job that uses anthropology-related tools, that takes me to the third question. How has the time that you spent in the faculty during the undergraduate degree shaped or recalibrated your understanding of what it means to be human?
It's a very big question. I could, if I were to immediately respond with an answer, it wouldn't be a good answer. So I'm
That's
just
fine.
giving
I
myself,
just want to hear you.
well, I'm just buying myself time to actually think about it. And now I've had that time and I'm
That's good.
thinking about
That's
it.
good.
My answer would be, I think there's a strong sense of when I went to university, particularly like going through like the Oxbridge interview process, is that you have to be really pugilistic and argumentative and have a strong point of view on everything. And it's a battle and a puzzle for like the best ideas. There's like this big marketplace of ideas, and we're all fighting out for who wins. And I'd say that particularly in my first year, and actually kind of beyond just the faculty, just the kind of cultural university is like very like these are the right ways of thinking about things, these are the wrong ways of thinking about things. And this answer to a supervision essay is right, and this one is wrong. I think over the course of the 3 years, particularly on working on all the stuff we did with Indian religion or Indic religion, left me with a really, really strong sense of we are not a sort of fixed product, but in a process of becoming always. And even when you've climbed to the top of one ladder of knowledge and spiritual wisdom, and you think you've got to the top, you realize the ladder was not real, and there's more ladders, and there's 100 doors that you must go through, etc. And it makes you very, very skeptical, but I think in a productive way, not like a cynical, using the word cynical in the right way there, but a sort of a process whereby you are constantly investigating things,
Indeed.
constantly reevaluating things. And I think whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I think it's nevertheless felt very enriching as a human being. And I'm forever grateful for my time studying it, and I'm still, deeply embedded with it and passionate about it, and would love to go and do more of it. And I probably will, in an academic sense rather than
Yeah. So, Louis, thank you very much for having this discussion with me. The next time you're in Cambridge, I want you to drop in my office or somewhere, and we will go out and have a coffee, and I will give you one more big question, and we will try to think through it.
Okay.
Okay, that's the deal. All right, bye-bye today.
Bye-bye.